Ruth.
Hello, Stania. Nice you're here.
Yeah, so the first question, how and when did you come across tango?
Oh, okay. I came across tango in a dream, actually. I had a dream. So I never really liked partner dancing. I felt really constrained in partner dancing, but I liked just to move. And I did some East European sort of circle dancing as well. And then I had this dream of this concert in a big concert hall, and this guy was playing bandoneon. So at the time of when I had the dream, I was listening to quite a lot of music by Dino Saluzzi. He's a sort of fusion, you know, he's an Argentine bandoneonist, but he doesn't play outright tango. He plays more fusion jazzy stuff, but very much influenced by Argentine folk and tango music. So anyway, so I had his music in my brain, and then I had this dream of this guy called Eduardo Ramirez. He was playing on a stage, and it was a big concert hall with tiered seating, and I was sitting right by the stage at the bottom, and he was playing this beautiful music which sounded just like Dino Saluzzi's music. And then he stopped and he said, "Is there anyone who would like to dance?" And there was no response from the audience. I went like, "Yeah, okay, I'll dance," you know. And so I went onto the stage and we started dancing, and he was my dance partner. So he played the music, but then he stopped playing and the music carried on. He stopped playing, put the bandoneon down, and we started becoming dance partners. And sometimes we'd be like in a really close embrace, and sometimes opposite ends of the stage. And it was we danced the story of a couple, basically. So it was kind of the first meeting and flirting, and then falling in love, and then being together, and just sort of mundane life and so on, until like I said, sometimes we were really close together, and other times at opposite ends of the stage, but I always knew exactly where to go, and it was just this weird sensation of, I knew it was tango that we were dancing, but I also knew that I didn't know how to dance tango, but I somehow knew how to dance it.
Wow.
So and this feeling of really being in myself, and at the same time like complete surrender to this person who was leading me, and the surprise about it, about how beautiful it was for me, you know, how intense the feeling was. And it just went on for quite a long time, this dream. And at some point, you know, there was a table on the stage, about this size. And at some point, I sort of symbolically sort of died by the side of the table. Not dramatically, you know, just old age sort of thing, you know, the end of the story. And then there was this massive applause, which kind of brought me back into the fact that it was in a big symphonic hall. I'd totally forgotten about anyone else, you know, it was just me and him having this relationship with dance. And the applause was so loud it woke me up. So then I thought, what was that?
What a dream. Wow.
I mean, just like the whole thing, you know, like that. I knew this person's name, and he was like tall, dark and handsome, he sort of slicked back hair, and the bandoneon was kind of strange. It was sort of bluish with mother of pearl inlay, and just the whole thing was. So I was like, what was that? You know, at the time I had kids that were like 2 and 4 years old, and I was busy mum, and I forgot about it. And then about 5 months later, 2 things happened. One was that the father of my children and I, we broke up, and it was pretty sudden, and I was in a big state sort of thing, and I was also performing in Sidmouth, and in my sort of musician role as a player of East European music. We were at the festival, And so I was in my tent. It was like, oh, how am I going to survive with 2 little children, a single mom, and everything. And I opened the program, and there was a tango workshop, and I was like, oh, I need to go. Oh, I can't go. I haven't got a partner. I need to go. I haven't got the right clothes. I need to go. So I went, and that was Biljana, and she was doing a workshop with a woman called Kika. They come from London to do this workshop, and of course everybody was in shorts and sandals, so there's no need to have high heels or anything like that, or even partners. And there was about 80 people in a tent, and they were using a microphone to direct the workshop. And I felt everything they said was about my personal situation. It was just like, it really hit me, like they were talking about leading and following, and I felt they were talking about my breakup situation, my family breakup situation. And so I went to them and I invited them, and I said, I'd like to organize a workshop for you in Devon. Would you come down? And so 2 months later they were here. And I just completely fell in love with tango straight away. And so I organized for about 3/4 of a year. They came every 6 weeks or so. Biljana came with various people or on her own to teach here. And I ran the workshops, got the people, and then we had weekly practicas in between where we practiced what was in the workshop.
Wow, what an intense start.
Yes.
So you were organizing workshops for Biljana and her partners, and at some point you yourself started teaching as well.
Yes. Well, actually it was Biljana, about 3/4 of a year after this whole giving or inviting people to workshops happened. She started saying, so when are you going to start teaching? And I was like, you must be joking. I've had like 4 weekend workshops or 6 maybe, and you want me to teach? And she said, yeah, well, if you don't do it, it's not going to happen here. The tango scene is not going to develop by me just coming every 6 weeks. You need to start teaching. So she kind of pushed me into that,
Best way to learn.
Yes, yeah. Well, she said that, and then I thought, okay, well, I will go to the International Week in Holland, because by that time I discovered Elcote and I was spending quite a lot of weekends there, and I thought, okay, well, I'll do that weekend, and then I'll decide if I can teach or not. And I did that weekend together with a guy called Jean-Paul, who was also really into tango down here. I'd sort of dragged him into the workshops, and he was a dancer anyway, and so we went together, and after that we decided to start teaching together.
I don't know if I know John.
Well, it's a very long time ago.
Yeah.
He only was there for like a year, maybe, or a year and a half, and then he left for dancing in Bali.
When did you start teaching then? What year was that?
It was 99 or 98, 99.
Oh wow. So you were teaching with him and then on your own again?
Well, I was teaching with him, and there was a woman in the class who was also a dancer who learned very fast, and she's called Adele Levy. And we also became friends, and then when Jean-Paul left, he kindly told me like half a year in advance. So I was like, oh, good. Okay, I need to learn how to lead. So I quickly learned how to lead, and then Adele became my assistant, and she was the follower, so I had her. And then Adele left about a year later to go and study in Bath, and so by that time then I started teaching on my own.
And then at some point you met Fernando, invited him over.
That's right, yeah. So I think that was like maybe in 2002 or something like that. That I met him in Barcelona, and I said, how about you come and we do some workshops together? And he actually stayed for 3 years, lived in my house for 3 years, and we did a lot of things together. We just, traveling to give workshops, but also doing local things. And that was, he came, I think, around the time when I did maybe the third tango mango or something like that. That's when it started coming in. The first mango was a mango without us knowing that it was.
In
you know, so
Staverton, yeah.
yes, it was in Staverton. I'd invited a couple for a week-long workshop, and I needed a minimum of dancers booking in advance, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So then I cancelled the dancers, and then the people said, "Oh, but we really wanted to do this." And I said, "Well, why didn't you book in time?"
So hard, this isn't
And
it?
so then I said, "Okay, well, I'll keep the hall because the hall wasn't so expensive." And I said, "I'll be there at 10 o'clock in the morning, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and at 8 o'clock in the evening every day of this week. And if somebody's there to dance with me, then we'll dance." And I went there 10 o'clock every morning, and I didn't come back till 10 o'clock at night because there were always people there. Sometimes just a few, a handful, and sometimes 20, 30. And that was the first mango. We didn't know it was called that.
The little town of Totnes.
Yes.
Yeah, people don't quite understand how much goes into organising these things and what you have to kind of put up front to make it happen.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I would say what people see. It's a bit like the tip of the iceberg sort of thing. You know? So when they come dancing to an event, and I'm sure it's like that for every organizer basically, you know, I would say 3/4 of the work is out of
Invisible.
eyesight.
Yeah. Yeah, you organise lots of things, not just dancing but also music.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been playing the bandoneon for about 8-9 years now, and I'm just coming into being as a fully fledged musician.
Yeah. Tell me,
With that.
what made you decide to do this, to start playing bandoneon?
I was ambushed by a bandoneon. Do you remember Steve Margison?
Yes.
Yeah, so he sat down to me next to me during one of the Tango Mangos in, I don't know, 2011 maybe. And he said, "Oh, I'm going to sell my bandoneon." I said, "What?
Right.
You have a bandoneon?" Yeah, I bought a bandoneon, but it's too difficult. It's just, you know, it's a hellish instrument. And so no, I asked him, "Is it the doble A?" And he said, yeah, and in good condition. And I thought, we can't let this instrument leave Devon, because at the time I was trying to make an orchestra tipica. I was playing the violin, and I wanted other people to play tango music, so we would need some pianist maybe who would, you know, like to learn the bandoneon, and I could buy it and have it for the time when there's somebody who wants to buy one. Of course, you know, I was kind of deluding myself because I love exploring things. So to have an instrument and not touch it, and then one that is a bandoneon, you know, because they're just mysterious, basically, you know, of course.
Have you always played music?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I studied music and dancing, and that's how I got here.
How old were you then?
I was 21, 22.
Wow. So you're a musician as well as a dancer. What came first, music or dance?
In terms of tango, first the dance.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, you know, it was the music of Dino Saluzzi actually is to blame for me being a tango dancer and a tango teacher and now a tango musician. But yeah, I mean, I became a tango dancer before I became a tango musician.
So how did the music happen? How did bandoneon, playing bandoneon?
Okay, well, the bandoneon came later. My mother was a violinist, and just before she died, she kind of handed me her violin, said, "This one's for you." So I thought, okay, well, I suppose I'll play the violin then. That was in 2008. And then actually, because I was torn between the violin and the bandoneon for a few years, I didn't really progress on the bandoneon until 2018, where I thought, okay, well, this is going nowhere. I can't, you know, I can play the right hand or the left hand, but I can't play them both together because it's very difficult to play. And I thought, okay, I need to actually just buckle down for a while and then see if it's happening, and if not, then just give it, sell it again, give it to somebody else.
How do you feel now then?
Well,
bandoneon versus violin.
The violin has been in the corner for the last 8 years. It will come out one day again. But yeah, so I mean, I gave myself 6 months of practicing 3 hours a day, and I thought then I shall know which way the cookie can't crumble, sort of thing. And after the 6 months, I thought, okay, well, I'm not losing the battle. I'm not sure if I'm winning it yet, but I'm not losing it. And I need another 1.5 years to make that decision. So after 2 years, I thought, I need another 2 years. And after the 4 years, I was like, yeah, this is going to work. So, after 4 years of 3 hours practice a day.
It's like learning bandoneon is like learning tango, any aspect of tango, isn't it? It just keeps expanding.
Yes.
Yeah,
it just gets bigger,
yeah. You climb one mountain and then you see a whole other mountain range.
Absolutely, yeah. But the landscape gets more and more beautiful. The more there is to do, the more, I mean, it's completely changed my dancing as well, because I hear the music in a different way.
Yeah, I can imagine. Wow.
And I'm still like a kid in the candy shop, I know all these tunes from dancing them, and then it's like, oh, I can play this now, just, it's just beautiful.
So let's get back to dancing, all aspects of tango, really. Like, what does it do for you? What does it give you?
Well, so on a professional level, I would say I've really found my calling, because I love to work with people. I love to, I'm a teacher of whatever. If somebody asks me to teach them something, I'm happy to teach them, whether that's a language or music or dancing or cooking. It doesn't matter. I just love the process of teaching, of learning. I feel like as a teacher, what you do is you create a space for people to find their own way. So you're not telling people what to do, but you're kind of just creating an open space for people and offering some tools and just making their horizon a bit wider, and they find their own way into a new area of their life. And in tango, it just combines a whole lot of things, because tango is a little bit like a language, and it's definitely got a lot of music in it, and it's got interpersonal relationships in it. It's got looking after your body in it, physically. It's just perfect, and so I can't think of a better thing to teach, really, to really sort of address a person in their entirety, with their intellect, with their body, with their emotions.
Yeah, so it gives you kind of satisfaction, fulfillment.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, it's not easy to make money from tango, and I think if you don't have a vocation, you wouldn't do it, because it just would be easier to earn a regular living by doing any number of other jobs.
Yeah, for sure. And so just curious, in dancing, what does the dancing give you in kind of like emotional sense?
Of course, that's changed over the years. I think everybody who's had their own tango journey knows that it sort of starts with a lot of extreme highs and lows. A few extreme highs and a lot of lows. And then, after a few years, that sort of levels out, and it's more reliably nice, or more reliably not awful. But it hasn't got the sort of extreme highs. That's what I find, and I don't look for them that much anymore. The first few years you sort of hanker after them, and you go and you try and
get the dance,
find these moments of extreme bliss. They still happen sometimes, and it's a nice surprise when they happen, but really more what it is now is just, it's a lovely way of connecting with people, outside talking, connecting with people directly and in a meaningful way.
You are a teacher. You do a lot for the tango community here in Devon and other places as well. You teach regular lessons, dancing, you teach music, you put on events, music events, which takes a lot of energy. And you also work with Chris. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yes, so I think, the tango can be a really good way to help people along with some physical difficulties that they have, potentially. So I'm very interested in that. And so Chris, who used to be a very central tango dancing member of this community, then had a terrible accident and has a very severe brain injury. He finds it very difficult to walk, amongst many other difficulties that he has. And so we've been working together for the last 3/4 of a year. And you can ask him yourself, of course, to see how he feels about it. But I feel he's making great strides. And he's beginning to be able to come back to the dance floor. This needs some dancers who will be willing to learn a little bit extra to tango, which will just apply to dancing with him. Something about how you interpret his leading, which is slightly different because he has balance problems. So if he's kind of falling towards you, you need to know the difference between him leading a step and him not leading a step but actually falling forwards. But it's quite simple once you understand how it goes. I think he will be able to dance again, and he's gaining balance every week. Every time we work together, his balance is better. So
what are you doing with him? Is it like
tango?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Exercises or
well, just what I do with other people as well, but with more detail, deep detail, so because for him it's not just learning to dance tango, it's learning to walk properly again, but through the tango, and he deeply loves the tango. I was one of the first people who visited him when he came out of a 3-week coma, and I put the bandoneon on his lap. That's the first thing we worked with, actually, is the bandoneon when he couldn't walk. I won't forget this. There was a note from the in the hospital on his wall, and it said, "Chris has difficulties concentrating, and he doesn't know how to turn." And it just surprised me, because when I put the bandoneon on his lap, he could just be in the bandoneon world for half an hour. There was no lack of concentration. It was more like, "Hello, Chris, come back out, where have you gone?" He was so focused on it. And the turning around, I was like, "Okay, well, let's work with tango, because you know how to turn in tango. We'll get you there, And so now we're getting there.
Wow, you seem to have a great capacity to be with people who are in like an impossible situation. It's amazing,
Yeah, it's coming along, I mean, it's his work, I'm just there to sort of birth it.
You're this big tango personality, but who are you outside of tango? What do you like to do? What do you enjoy?
Yeah, so I guess I have a public persona, which is very much to do with tango, but I have quite a big private life. Which probably not so many people know about.
How do you have time for private life?
Well, I don't have a television. That's one thing, how I make time for all these things. So some of the things people do know. The big love in my life is Frank, and we've been together for like 14, 15 years now. We went traveling for 10 years, which was quite amazing. We lived in a camper van for 10 years. Only just settled back in here really, or a year and a half ago. And I live in a communal house. So I have a big extended family. I've lived in this house for over 30 years. And the woman who owns the rest of the house, the other half or the other 2/3, Wendy, she's in her 80s and she's kind of like the grandma to my children, who both have grown up and are gone. But Wendy is here, and I have a long-standing promise to be there for her when she gets older. So that's also what's drawn me back from traveling to kind of be here. Although she's still very fit. So, but anyway, we've got a big 4-generation household here, which takes a lot of time. There's a big garden. I'm a member of a land cooperative. We just bought a piece of land 2 years ago, and we've just planted a forest, 7-acre forest, 3,500 trees. I am very happy now when it rains. I love the sunshine, but now I love the rain too. So that's one other thing. I love being in Totnes because it's a transition town, so I'm quite interested in that. When traveling and living a much sort of lighter carbon footprint, I thought when we come back into the house, I want to keep some of that. So I have a different way of using water, or rather not using water so much, because when we lived in the van, it was like 120 litres a week was enough, and if you think about it, if you flush the toilet, every time you use it, you use 120 litres in a day per person. Maybe, maybe not quite, but anyway, so we've changed some things here, and I like the transition town part of Totnes and get involved in that, and there's things happening sort of grassroots political as well. There's people's assemblies, and I'm really quite interested in that. I think getting involved in making sure that this country doesn't sort of turn into a really selfish sort of right-wing attitude, doing my bit to prevent that. We love having people here. There's an Airbnb guest who's just arrived, so that brings a bit of the world to us here as well. We love cooking. I love making fermented foods, so I make sauerkraut and kefir and like this. And yeah, my practice is very central, my instrumental practice, but it's like a meditation really. So I do that fairly strictly 3 hours a day minimum.
Bandoneon only, or other instruments?
At the moment, bandoneon. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think once I feel really sovereign on the bandoneon, which I don't know, it might take another 5 years or so, maybe then I unpack the violin again.
Promise to your mother.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that must weigh on you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. She would understand.
Yeah. So Ruth, is there anything I haven't asked you? Anything you would like to add?
Yeah, well, I think one thing I would like to talk about, because it's for me a topic that's sort of on the horizon, is getting older and how to be with getting older. So Frank, my husband, is 20 years older than me, and Wendy, who I've promised to be there for, is in her mid-80s, so she's 25 years older than me. I'll be 60. I'll get not a free train pass, but a third, whatever the reductions are as from next month. So yeah, I like to meet things before they happen, and I feel them before they happen. And so I feel like this is I've been feeling that for the last nearly 10 years, that I'm stepping into this third age place, the wise woman stage, where maybe I'm not so much at the helm of things, but I'm there to be drawn on for advice and supportive energy and so on. And at the same time also looking at how do we live as older people? How do we connect with the younger generations and give them some kind of positive, hopeful energy? Because it's a tricky time to find hopeful energy.
Yeah.
And I see this in the tango community as well, so this is my place. I've got the tango community to look after as well, and there I see that people are sort of disappearing, people who've been very central in the tango community, suddenly they're not there anymore, and I'm thinking, well, what's happened to them, So most strikingly, most recently, that was Jim, who, anyone who's been in the scene for the last 10 years knows him and knows that he always came, He installed the famous mango showers at the Tango Mangos, always together with Jack. And then I went traveling for 10 years. And when I came back, he was not there anymore, So I was trying to work out where he'd gone, what had happened to him. And it turns out he's in a care home. He'll be 90 this year.
Wow.
And, he's got sort of age dementia. But he could be still coming to events and hanging out and being part of this, and somehow it's not happening, and I just wonder how we can make those kind of things happen, how we can remain inclusive for the people who might want to stop dancing, but they're part of the social fabric. So yeah, that's quite big in my mind. It's quite a big question at the moment for me, how to not shut out people as they get older with our sort of focus on, I don't know, moving forward or functioning or whatever. We lose some people, they fall through the net somehow, and I regret that. I don't have many regrets, but that is one of them. I just feel like, oh, it's such a shame. They could be there, they could be having fun, they could be integrated. And it just I think aging is such a valuable and beautiful experience for me. I love it. I'm not afraid of getting older. But then I meet somebody like Jim who says, oh, I'm so ashamed, I keep forgetting things, I'm I'm so old and weak and wobbly. And I just feel it's such a shame that concerns him in that way, because he has every right to forget things at age 90, and still have fun. Why does he feel that society is expecting a certain functioning of him, and who are we to give people that bad feeling?
I think it's now not just old people who feel like this. I think a lot of people struggle with this sort of pressure to be a certain way, perform high performance, live this kind of life. Yeah, and so seeing you, being so passionate about this and wanting to give support. Most people, I think, these days are just so drained and scared and tired. They just feel like, oh, I'm just going to look after myself, sort myself out, and the rest of the world can,
I think it's a structural thing in the society that could easily be solved, so I'm just looking at tango, there is no reason why somebody who can only give less than 100% couldn't be there. Whatever percentage they can give, it should still be possible for them to be there. And if they can give 10%, then those 10% could be welcome and could be a valuable contribution. They shouldn't have to feel, oh, I'm going to be tired, I'm going to just be sitting there. Yeah, so,
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for all this. Would you like to show us your baby?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So here it is, Ruth's practicing corner.
Yes, I practice a lot overlooking the garden. If you want to
Very
have a look
nice.
at the garden, we have a beautiful garden.
Very nice.
This is my practicing view.
Nice. Here's
And
the baby.
this is one of my babies. She's got Layla.
Layla. I was going to ask, has it got a name?
Yes, she's called Layla. Which is funny because across the hall we have a young family and the youngest child is called Layla, but this Layla was in the house first.
And what do
And
they...
they didn't know that this one was called Layla, and they called their child when she was born Layla. So
And
now
what-
we have two Laylas.
What
in the
do
house.
they think about your practicing?
It's fine. The house has got big walls.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hear it.
Mm. Layla.
So yes, this is Layla.
You're gonna play us a little...
Yes, I'm going to play you a song which is called Sus ojos se cerraron. It's a Gardel song, and it's in an arrangement by Rodolfo Medeiros.